resulted was lack of cyber hygiene, lack of digital literacy, lack of responsible behavior, because in order to behave responsibly, you need to know what responsible behavior looks like. So as I see cyber security and the responsible use of social media, I think this is a very important initiative, and my gratitude, because you've given me an opportunity to speak. I believe that this is one of the biggest challenges of our age. At the World Economic Forum, when world leaders were asked that what are the biggest challenges of our time, they did not say nuclear warfare, they did not say climate change. Most of the world leaders said that the biggest challenge of our time is misinformation. And misinformation, simply as Chairman PTA just said, by one click, we don't realize the devastating consequences, the harmful effects that one click can cause. And I'll give you just a recent example. I was addressing the foreign media yesterday. A very sad incident took place on Bondi Beach in Sydney, Australia. As soon as the incident took place, we saw a surge in fake news all over the social media. And just by looking at the name of the attacker, very responsible media outlets in the digital space quickly alleged that the attacker belonged to Pakistan. Now, a country which has suffered from terrorism, which is still a victim of terrorism, which continues to fight against the terrorists, it is extremely unfortunate that without any evidence, without any authentic information to substantiate their claim, they just put it out there that these attackers were Pakistanis. And we obviously took to the social media. We made sure that fact check was in place, and my compliments for coming up with this I-Verify system, and we use it very often. Whenever there is the news which needs to be fact checked, we contact the Dawn Media Group and we ask them to put this information through I-Verify so they can come up with a solution in order to counter any fake news. So my point is, this led to a snowball effect. We saw Al Jazeera, we saw NDTV, we saw ABC, we saw CBS, all saying that the attacker was from Pakistan. And when I asked the foreign media yesterday that did you have any documentation or any substantial proof to back your claim, the answer was no. Now, what devastating effects this particular claim had on Pakistan? So if I'm a Pakistani living anywhere in Australia or in Europe or in the United States, I'm at risk because you have linked an attacker living abroad with my country without any proof. And on a day, 16th December, when we commemorate the sacrifice of the martyrs of the APS Peshawar. Now this is such a dichotomy that on one hand, we are commemorating our children who laid down their lives for the country, combating these terrorists, and on the other hand, you have this fake news from so-called responsible media outlets the world over claiming that the attacker was Pakistan. And you saw how things turned out thereafter. The identity of the attacker, the passport of the attacker, the travel document that he traveled on, the statement by the Indian police, the press release issued by them, and there was a whole another chain of events after that. So the point I'm trying to make is that we need to have more literacy, we need to have more awareness, because there's a backlog. When an abrupt evolution takes place, a lot of things are lacking which need to be covered. So when I talk about the first evolution from print media to digital media, a lot of tracks were covered, a lot of space was covered, regulatory frameworks were in place. But with this abrupt revolution, there is so much of backlog that really needs to be addressed. So we need more initiatives like this, and my government, my ministry, we stand fully committed to this cause. We've come up with Pakistan's first digital communication department, because when I took over as Minister for Information, we did not have any digital department. We've established Pakistan's first digital communication department. We have our own fact check at the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. We have linkages with media outlets in order to stamp news as fake, but more needs to be done. And I'm grateful to Mr. Babar Yaqub because he reached out to us in order to establish a system where we can train people to counter fake news and misinformation, and to hold training workshops not only for the ministry but also for media personnel, because this needs to have a broader impact and a multi-dimensional strategy in which journalists, media outlets, writers, authors, government officials all need to be trained, because as I said, digital natives are more accustomed to using social media than digital natives, but both need to be taught the responsible use of social media. And when we talk about the advent of emerging technologies, and I would like to appreciate the platform of TikTok because they've introduced AI labeling now. Whenever you click on a video on TikTok, it says that the content is AI generated content. In order to enable the user, or in order to enable the subscriber to be well aware that the content being watched is AI generated. So, this is just a small step which all other platforms need to replicate. We need to have AI labeling. And one thing more I'm concerned about is creative people losing their jobs. Whenever I turn on the television, I see advertisements being made through AI. So, how many people lose their job when one advertisement is made from AI? Number one, the content creator. Number two, the director. Number three, the graphic designer. Number four, the actors themselves. So there's a whole series of professions who go out of jobs when content is created through emerging technology. So we need to have a balance. And as far as awareness is concerned, as I said, there can't be a one-size-fits-all policy. We need to make different segments aware according to their uses and according to their needs of social media. And every platform has its own uses. So I think this is a big challenge, but I have great hope that events like this one today and the commitment of UNDP, PTA and the government of Pakistan, I believe that with the right kind of strategy, we can get there. We can cope up with this challenge because this is causing a lot of harm in society. It is breeding intolerance. You can see violence. You can see harassment against women. You can see harassment against minorities, against marginalized groups on social media.
आपको बताते चलें कि लांस नायक मोहम्मद महफूज शहीद निशान हैदर का 54वां यौम शहादत है और इस वक्त मज़ार पर दुआ